Well, howdy, folks. Thank you for tuning in. We're just getting started, and we will be covering some of the QA and, I guess, testing that we've been doing on the wallet. We're in the, let's see, I should have pulled this up. So we are in the QA and test stage part of the roadmap, which is we just added. So we'll be updating this, and I've got Ryan on the line here. Say hello, Ryan. Oh, wait, haha, just kidding. Hang on, time out. Now say hello, Ryan.
Hello.
All right, sorry about that. Had to switch audio inputs. So we've got some feedback. Ryan's been tinkering with the wallet. I've done some testing myself, and I actually don't have. Let me copy this list over. So I had made a list separate from Ryan's. So let me copy that into this do list real quick. All right, so that's my list added to the bottom here. Maybe we can turn this into preview mode. All right, so let's see. If you haven't been following along, for the Dash Incubator, we have been building a new web wallet, and this is it. It's based on these designs by a guy named Nick, and we're basically at the MVP version, the stage 1 version that we had planned out. And so it has a lot of functionality, everything I think that was included in the original designs. So we've got this generate wallet. This is the design, by the way, the Figma, and existing wallet. And you can go through and click through that, and we've got all of this built out. But one of the things as we've built the wallet, we found that we had overlooked things in the design process and just hadn't included them by accident. Like we thought through a lot and just, missed certain things. And so some of those things that we had missed were, for example, how do you pair with someone else? This lets you enter their information if they provide it, but we actually never designed how to show your information so that you could give it to someone to pair. And so we had to do some quick fixes and whatnot to get that in there. And so I know this is one of the problem areas that we need to improve upon. And I think Ryan might be able to speak a bit to that. But we've got several things that we've done in the heat of the situation. We added solutions, but they probably need some improvements before we consider QA done. And so Ryan's made this list here. I might be sneaky. I'm going to doppelganger this because I like dark mode. All right, there's the doppelganger form. So, yeah, Ryan, what would you like to go over? I know we kind of want to get this shifted into a GitHub Markdown file, but is there anything you want to go over before we start doing that?
I think, yeah, I just wanted to go through each item briefly before you're actually working on them and just discuss them if you had any questions. Yeah, just bring it. We'll just read through it. Whether we transfer that now or you can do it later, it doesn't. I probably only have about 45 minutes max. So
yeah, so let's just go through this then, and we'll all get to. I mean, I'm not sure I have much longer than that myself, so we'll get through what we can get through, and then I'll try to get this translated into a markdown after you have to drop off.
all right,
Or before, yeah.
You might want to zoom in a bit, and maybe even nix the
Dark mode not good for you?
contents. No, dark mode's fine.
Okay. Is that big enough?
Yeah, you could probably get rid of the table of contents.
I did. You're probably delayed again.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got, I'm going to skip some of that. Let's get down into the phase 1 testing stuff. So you're going through the whole app, testing each feature, link button, etc. Not necessarily trying to break the app, but monkeying around and being more picky than a normal user. We should incorporate feedback from all reviewers into this document. Okay.
Or whatever, wherever.
Yeah.
If we transfer it, then
Into
just so
a
that it's all
document.
in
Yep.
place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feedback by application feature. So welcome screen. Can't tab through buttons. So that's here.
Yeah.
It doesn't even show if it's highlighted. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to open up the app. Yeah, while we're doing that, and zoom in on the app if you could as well, because you must have a very high resolution monitor. Um, it doesn't look as good on yours as it does on mine.
Should be zoomed in now.
Yeah, that's better.
I don't know if mine is really high resolution. I mean, I guess it's a wide screen, but it's not like DPI high. Like it's not a Mac type of thing where you can set higher DPI type of thing.
Yeah.
All right. So what I wanted to test here real quick was I want to modify the styles just really quickly here. It's going to be in here. I want to find the button. Whatever the default button styles are. And I want to make sure there's an outline. Interesting. So we're probably overriding outline, which we have a class for that for some reason. But when you set outline and override it, you can't see if something is tabbed to. So I want to see if we're even able to tab to them. I don't know why it wouldn't be able to tab to them, though. That's the interesting thing to me.
Well, no, I think it does tab to them, but it doesn't give you any feedback that they're selected when you're tabbing through. And this is common. Like a lot of times people will do this, and I don't exactly remember what the CSS trick is to fix it, but
okay, well, if we set that, let's see. Nope. It is inside of a form and it is a button, so it should be tabbable by default, but it's possible we have to set tab index for some reason. Yeah, because it's not showing them. Didn't mean to click that. All right. Let's see if we set a tab index, or maybe let's just make sure that's coming through. Yeah, so it did a, let's do, this is going to be way too big. Yeah, there you go. There's an outline you can see.
so on these, I know you're just getting into it, but we won't have time to go through it all if we're fixing it as we go. But I just want to make sure that you understand what the issue was that I had for each of the items.
Yep. So that is definitely verified. You can't tab through the buttons, even if it's selecting them. You can't tell if you're selected to them. So that needs to be fixed. I agree with that. Some text is redundant, but no need to change it for now. So what text style? This stuff?
Oh, just on the front page, like there's
Generate a
it
new wallet is
says
the
the
same as the
same thing
button.
twice.
So we could like drop the title and just have generate a new wallet and then maybe put that under the button or something like that.
Yeah,
Or,
I don't know what the solution is right off bat. I just
mm-hmm,
and I don't expect you to come up with it right on the fly either.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and this one in particular isn't like a big deal. It's just
Okay.
an observation.
Okay. Tried to generate a new wallet first, then exited out after some testing, then tried to click add an existing wallet and got no feedback. Had to refresh to get it to work. So, generate a new wallet. Did you get through this prompt? Do you know? I guess I could cancel there and at least that works. So if we get through this prompt, can't really exit out. I guess you could say act up.
Maybe if you try escaping.
Well, yeah, so here you can exit. And if you do that, I could see that's still opened. And it restarts the process there. Yeah, I'll try escaping. Yep. But even there, I'm still able to get into that. Interesting. All right, so at least in the combinations I can think of, I did see, oh, what's his name? Julian, is it?
Yeah,
Julius.
or Julius.
Um, I saw in the video, at least one of the videos he made, the first one, that he was saying it says like the format is bad. What was it? But it doesn't tell you the format. I'm like, whoops, yeah, that would be good to say, hey, only use these types of characters.
That's in my document also.
Okay.
I don't know if he said that as well, but yeah.
All right. So far I haven't been able to replicate that, but if you can think of how exactly you got to that state,
Okay.
uh, we can try to replicate it. Um, I mean, I suppose I could, let's see. So test 3, and I backed up. I, I mean, yeah, that's where here, I don't know how, actually, I shouldn't do that. Like, I don't even know what that password is. I'll never get it back. I mean, right here, you either encrypt it or you exit, and if I exit, that's still working.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
suppose I
Well,
could.
on some of these, it's more just let's. I'm making notes of things,
Uh-huh.
and if they, I'm not. It's not prioritized from top to bottom,
Sure.
obviously. So even if we did find, we're able to replicate it, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the first thing I want you working on.
Mm-hmm.
But in this particular case, we definitely would want at least one other person to run into the same problem.
Yep.
Um, anyway, so yeah, let's keep going.
So is there some reason it is necessary to use the terms disconnect and add wallet as opposed to log in and log out? What do you think? I mean, we've discussed this, but do you want?
Yeah, it's with all of these things. These are like this feedback, and we've talked about it before. It's more or less just stuff to keep in the back of our heads,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know exactly which kind of user we want to target at this point. Like I mentioned somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I want to target somewhere in between. I don't want to cater all the way to like the complete numbskull that doesn't know anything about crypto. Um, but I also don't want to target I don't want to leave people out that may not be super familiar with crypto. So somewhere in between, like an intelligent non-crypto person and somebody that's familiar with crypto. But in terms of like the login and log out, definitely I don't want login and log out, as
Hmm.
you agree with,
Yeah.
because that implies you're talking to a server that's authenticating you. Um, and that's obviously not happening. So I still haven't come up with the best option yet as far as like what terms I want to use.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of leaning towards connect and clear.
Hmm.
Like connect your wallet and then you clear it out of the browser's history, because
Hmm.
that's kind of exactly what you're doing.
Hmm.
The connecting is, if anything, I don't really like Connect, but that's the industry standard for web wallets
Hmm.
right now. At least that's what people use for um, not necessarily web wallets, but when they're connecting, uh, what's the term? Um, like most web wallets, they don't do what we're doing and having it have it all in one application. Most web wallets are split between the application, where you have an application, and then the wallet, which is usually different, like separate. And so
Hmm.
that's why they're using the term connect, because you're literally, a web application is completely separate from the web wallet. And a lot of times that web wallet is an extension that's complete, that was developed by an external team. So in that case, connect kind of makes sense.
Hmm.
Uh, but so in that respect, because our application is different and it's all in one application, the wallet and the application are the same application. Um, I'm almost inclined to do something like load a wallet and unload or offload or clear the wallet rather than
Hmm.
connect. But again, we don't have to come up with the solution yet. I just wanted to document it.
Yep. So let's get to the next part, the new wallet modal. So there is no description about what the alias is and what I should do here. A description does exist in the existing wallet modal. That is funny. I got it in there for the existing wallet, but not for the add wallet. The error field could be more helpful by describing in plain English what the requirements are for a valid alias. Numbers and letters only. It's not technically numbers and letters only. It's numbers, letters, and a few special characters. I think dots, dashes, and
Yeah.
underscores.
That's why I put EG, meaning
Hmm.
it's just, I don't know what your
Yep.
actual regex is, but whatever it is,
Yeah.
make it English and
It's, I think,
so
has to start with a letter or a number, and then it can contain any number of the acceptable characters in between that. And, but it can't end with a special character either. So it's a relatively common kind of username alias type of regex pattern where you can't end with the special character on either end, or like start or end.
yeah. And this is one of those things where it's definitely not worth, putting 3 hours of work into having a super awesome user experience that tells them exactly what is necessary, in each scenario that they've tried. A lot of time, like this one definitely could just, like, users are going to figure it out, right? They're just going to say, oh, there's still an error. I must have done something wrong.
Well,
So
we've
this
got
is
the
one.
styling for these types of things. We can easily add that. Like we have that right here, and this can be tweaked to include what can be in the alias. And then we just need to add that underneath this. And that is a very quick fix without changing any regex. Regex is a lot harder to get the regex right than changing the helper tooltip saying this is what the regex does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you understand that issue.
Yep. All right. Minor aspects of user understanding. How does the wallet actually work? What information is your browser storing when you create a wallet? Is it downloading a temporary self-custodial wallet into the browser session? This is, for example, one of those things where I think users don't really understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like that question, your wallet is your recovery phrase or your seed phrase, right? Like that's more or less your wallet. We have some additional data we're including, but as long as you have that recovery phrase, you should be able to access any of the funds in the wallet. And
Yeah, and I
so,
think something very general like that is something that we should surface to the user. Like
mm-hmm,
we're not gonna teach them about everything, right? Obviously, but I think some very high level distinctions would be useful.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly where the place is to put that. Maybe it's in those different options where you click the username and you have the options of backing up just the seed phrase or backing up the full encrypted backup. Um, to just describe, okay, there's two ways to back up. There's, you can back up just your keys, or you can back up the keys plus the metadata. And some high level description of that might be
Mm-hmm.
useful somewhere. But again, this is just one of those things where, like, as you're just kind of keep it in the back of your mind as you're developing, you might come across a place where it's like, oh, I remember we wanted to help the user with this information. This seems like the right place to do it.
So what I'm leaning towards right now is one option is I make another dialogue, by which I mean there's not much to make. We just have an information dialogue that we can attach to a link where, we can say, like, with that little what icon that looks like a like pop up the new tab type of thing. So we could do that where it's like, create, let's see, import an existing phrase, or like, let's say on seed phrase. So we've got seed phrase there. We could have this be a link that if you click it, it just opens up an informational dialogue that says a seed phrase is blah, blah, blah. It could be 12 words or 24 words, or, like maybe give some information. Or the other thing I was thinking is, instead of having a dialogue do that, we can, just like we're talking about, making a repository for this kind of planning and QA, we could make a more, instead of making a QA repository, we could make a planning repository that includes the QA and maybe include some documentation in there. And so we actually just link out to the GitHub and say, if you want to know what a seed phrase is, it links you to the GitHub where you can read through and go, oh, a seed phrase is this, and this is what they mean by it. Or an alias, like it would be our definitions for this wallet, kind of. So both,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't want to go that deep where we're making new repos and linking them to that stuff. I think that maybe we might want to adopt the technique of just having a bunch of tool tips in different places. I don't like when they're on hover, but on mobile, that's the only way that you can do it, is to click. I mean, I misspoke. I prefer the ones that pop up information when you hover them,
Mm-hmm.
uh, rather than having to click on them. But on mobile, that's there's no such thing as hovering on a mobile. So maybe having them on click. I don't know if there's a CSS thing for that or not, where it'll hover
There,
on desktop, but it will require a click on
there
mobile
might
or
be
what.
some newer stuff, but it would only work on whatever browsers are supporting it. So there may be something. I'm pretty sure there's a pop-up of some sort that I've seen. I'm not going to dig into that right now, but I can do it after you're off. So there might be
But just
something
the
for
general
that.
idea of giving them some information behind either a hover or a click. I think like I think the Maya scan does a pretty good job of this. If you want to bring up their website, I can, I think you have the idea already, but they do a pretty good job of that where there's some term that maybe doesn't make a whole lot of sense initially to somebody. They have a little tooltip on there.
Do you know where's precisely?
Um, no, not right offhand.
You know,
just
you've
kind of
seen it.
I just kind of remember it. It's somewhere not on the landing page though. I think somewhere like
Find out
go in.
all about nodes. There's that.
Mm, I'm behind on the screen a little bit, so I'm
Okay.
not.
I'm
But
on the network tab now, and there is a link to find out all about nodes, and it links to a blog article. Then there's a more info about inbound addresses, and it links to a blog article, which is
well,
more or
maybe this
less,
one.
huh?
I don't know. At any rate, let's go back to the document that we're working on, and
Okay.
you know the idea there.
Yeah.
Somehow we need to educate users, and I think that something on click or on hover is a good option for that.
All right. So I believe I read that. So how does that work? Where is it saved to? How does locking work? And I saw him going through that, and it all makes sense to me because I built this stuff, so I understand the distinction. But I get why he would be curious about that as he was going through it. And yeah, that I don't mind expounding on in the appropriate place, but we can think about that more. So, user experience: should you be able to create a new alias every time you log back in? Log back in, I assume that means.
Yeah.
Should you be able to create a new alias every time? Yes.
I think I put these in where they are in the document. So he had a separate document with these. So I wasn't sure where he was seeing this or experiencing this.
Oh, it's right here. If you do a key store, I guess maybe I can show this. Let's see. If I could find what the heck. It's not okay. Oh wait. It's like I somehow hid the files, so I couldn't find what I was looking for. All right, so you've got key stores here and wallet backups. If I choose one of the wallet backups like that, it enters my alias, but I could switch that. Or if you did a key store, you would still need to enter an alias. So he's saying I could just, whatever, and now I've got a different alias.
Well, no, I think it's right the way it is. That I do want it to bring in the alias from a wallet backup because the wallet backup has saved in it the alias. So that does make sense to me. Whether you should be able to edit it, I actually don't think you should be able to edit it because once you're in, then you can edit it.
Okay, I did find that. After adding it and you close the dialog, you do get a problem there. So I can't reopen the existing.
Oh, okay. So perfect. You ran into the exact.
But that wasn't after generate. It was just after add existing and selecting a backup.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, I might have misremembered how I ran into the problem, but there was that issue somehow.
Okay, well, so I agree about some of the naming stuff, and I should look into that. The reason I think you should be able to edit it though is, well, I'll do a key store first. The key store would be loading the recovery phrase and use that key store, but there's no alias stored in that. So you do have to enter an alias in that scenario. In the scenario of you're importing a wallet, it might seem counterintuitive to let you change this, but if, say, the wallet you're importing here was from your phone, and on your phone you use Jojo, and on your desktop you use Jojo, you might want to say Jojo Mobile here. And so now you know you're importing your mobile wallet type of thing. And so that's why I think you should be able
But
to
it's
change
the
the
same
alias.
wallet in that case because it's the same phrase and the same seed. And I personally don't think that you should have two aliases for the same seed.
No, it's not the same seed. I'm saying in the scenario where you generate a wallet on your mobile phone and you generate a wallet on your desktop, and you now have two wallets. This is the scenario where AJ and I ran into it, where somehow he had paired with a wallet that I think I had gotten a new hard drive or something like that. And when I went to send funds to him again, he had the old wallet paired with me. And essentially, it would have been like if he had sent me funds on my mobile phone and then I switched to a desktop and requested funds to him, he had a different wallet paired. So we have it set up where you can actually have multiple wallets. We don't have a interface to show that yet, but the data structure supports having multiple key pairs for users and stuff like that. In any case, you can have a scenario where you've got different wallets and you're probably not going to want to drop just your mobile wallet because it's different from your desktop type of thing. And so you could have scenarios where you want to import both of them into, say, your desktop so you can keep track of expenses or whatever. In any case, it's, huh?
Finish your thought.
In any case, that would be you've already, like I said, we're not surfacing the interface for this yet, but in the data sense, we could support, you've already got a wallet, you're importing another wallet. So I like, if I wasn't at the onboarding screen here and we were already into the wallet, we might be able to import another wallet, and then you would have Jojo and Jojo Mobile type of thing. And so then you could differentiate between the two on your side.
I'm not sure I understand the scenario fully, actually, but I think that the functionality is fine for right now. Where if you select a backup, then it brings in the alias that's in the backup, and if you select a key store, obviously there's no alias involved with that, so you'd want to just have the field blank. So I think that that's the right user experience. The only question is, to me, was should we give them an option to edit the alias on that step right there? And I think that it's not enough of a priority to change it, but I would lean towards not having it editable right there because it would lead people to think, well, this alias, the alias obviously came from the file, otherwise how would it have popped up? But being able to edit it right there, you know, then they're kind of wondering, oh, did that just save it in real time? Like, is my backup, does that file now have the new alias, or does it have the old alias? And so it would kind of bring up questions. Whereas if you're already into the application, then it's clear what you're doing when you hit edit. That's clear what you're doing. And even then, I don't know if it's automatically backing it up. I don't think it is.
It's not automatically backing up. Backup is a manual step.
Yeah.
It is automatically saving it to your wallet's stores. So, you know, IndexedDB or local storage type stuff. So
Right.
it does store
So
it
maybe we
there.
should prompt them as a side note. Maybe we should prompt them when they have edited information that's different.
Yeah.
Maybe we should prompt them. Would you like to back this up? Um, that brings up, this isn't, we're not in this part of the document, and I don't even know if I have documented this, but it does bring up the issue of backups.
Hmm.
When you edit metadata, like your name, like your alias, obviously the old backups are going to have the old alias because how could they change?
Yep.
But new backups, hmm, yeah, I think it would solve the issue that I've got in my head if you just prompted them and said, "Hey, would you like to back up your wallet now that you have new data?"
Which I was considering doing that on lock and disconnect. So I haven't, I mean, a lot of stuff I've done is get the base level feature in there so that we can get things to an MVP type stage. Like
Yeah,
lock here, I think it would be good to maybe have a countdown timer or something, but also are you sure you want to lock this wallet? Have you backed up recently type of thing? Or, do you want to back up before you lock it? And the same thing for disconnect. Like before you do this, like I added in the, I think, previous stream, the updated at field. And so it's possible we could also do the last time you backed up, just have a little updated or backed up at type of thing. And so we could be like, hey, the last time you ran a backup was 3 weeks ago. You want to do a backup before you disconnect?
yeah,
So I think that would be good. I didn't really consider it for the edit profile, but we could do it, after you've clicked save there, like, maybe not a full dialogue. Like right now, pretty much everything we do is in a dialogue. But if we had a little pop up down here in the bottom right that was like, hey, you've changed some information or you added some contacts. Do you want to back up your wallet data? So like that might be worthwhile to introduce like a little notification thing.
yeah.
Or
Okay. Well,
yeah.
this is an example of something that it's not an issue right now to be fixed.
Mhm.
So we can move on from there.
All right. So existing wallet modal, underlined key store and backup makes me think they are separate links that do different things. I know from talking with Jojo Byte that it's just one button that does the same thing. But let's not try to trick people. Maybe just make them bold, remove the underlined, and remove the bold from the or. Let me see. So disconnect. I mean, uh,
When I see an underline, I think this is a link,
mhm.
something that takes me somewhere. So when the
So
underline,
I played with this quite a bit more than I care to admit, but I mean it was on stream. So I tinkered with several different styles, and I was trying to choose one that made the most sense. I don't know if I arrived at that, but I think it didn't look that clear that you could click it.
well, it doesn't, it, because it's not, you don't get the hand hover when you're on it.
I mean, I'm
Then
getting
that
the
is,
hand hover.
oh, no, I mean, okay, so you're getting the hover, but that's on the whole button.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you get the hover when you go over key store or when you go over backup. So that does indicate somewhat that this is just one big button. I
Mm-hmm.
just think that the ethos of the web in general is so strong that underline means this is one thing and then a separate underline is a separate thing that I don't know why you want the underlines if you are wanting that. Like if you made a conscious decision, I want those underlines. Um, why? And if not, if you don't have a strong opinion on it, why not just take the underlines off so that people don't think it's doing two different things and just leave it at that? I guess the question is, do you want the underlines, and if so, why?
I think it made it more obvious. We can remove them. I'm not like super dedicated to it. I just think it made it more obvious that it was something you could click.
Oh,
So I mean, that's it without the underlines. I can do that. It's literally removing a U tag around it, which
yeah,
is
no,
not that big of a
it's a
deal. Yeah.
simple. I know it's a simple change. I along with the simple change, I would take the or out of bold. So I would have key store in bold and backup in bold, but not the or. And that to me indicates, oh, there are two different types of files that I can be looking for, and they're different. That's what the two bolds on key store and backup would mean to me. Um, but
Hmm.
I just like the underlines making that distinction because the underlines um, have a stronger meaning of linking you to certain things.
Yeah. I mean, we can do that.
Okay.
I don't think it's as obvious that, like, I think it's missing something. Maybe that's what I should say. There's something lacking in this. And even though the underline,
Well, maybe what's lacking is a small highlight of the button when you're hovering.
well, it's not a button for one. While it's kind of functioning like a button, it's, I think, I mean,
Well,
that's a
nobody cares
span.
what it is under the hood. It is a
Yeah.
button to the user.
Well, and that's where it's not. It should be a drag and droppable field,
Well,
which,
and I think the dotted line border is doing that for the user.
although, look at that, I failed to do a hover on there. So we actually need to add some indication that you could drop here. But I think the drop works. Yep.
The drop does work. I've tried
Yep.
it.
Yeah. So we do need an indication when you're over the right area that you can drop there.
Yeah, and what was I going to say about that? You can probably get some of that um, information across to the user by just writing it out, like drag, and whatever
Mm-hmm.
terms you use, like drop or select a file. Maybe that's what the term is: drop or select a file. Exit out and then go back
Mm-hmm.
in so I can see what it says.
Well, before I do that, I also think we should have a once you've dropped a file, a clear type of thing here. But
Oh yeah,
I
that
know
would
we've
help.
also discussed we need to indicate better that it's a this field or this field, not a this field is still showing like it needs something entered. So, and I'm pretty sure that's in the comments that you have in there, but we do need to rework at least that section where it's got more of a either or, and
Mhm.
once one is done, the other gets kind of grayed out or something like that, or hidden. I don't know.
Yeah, I think just hiding it would be good enough. I don't
I
necessarily think that we should have them toggle something to show the different options. I kind of like that all the options are there right off the bat. I The main thing for me that I wanted is once you have selected one of them to hide the other one.
I don't know if I like hiding, but if we have it clear this field is disabled, I wouldn't mind, like,
Or
less
disabling, I would
opacity.
work too.
What? Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, disabling would work too. But I just
Yeah,
don't want it to be an empty field that they're like, oh, I just selected a file. Why do I also need a seed phrase?
I agree. Well, and that's where I think if I just add a little like or separator here, but also make sure that they're kind of grouped in their own little
Yeah.
wrapper, I think that would be enough that if suddenly this goes like gray and maybe the background here like disappears so like it matches and so it looks different and you can't click on it anymore type of thing, I think that would be enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
But
cool.
let's keep going. So
Yep.
we can get through the time you have here. I know we're probably running out. We're running close to it, and we haven't gotten through that much.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the underlying thing. The seed phrase I toggle doesn't seem to work, at least reliably. That's at least partially fixed, or maybe all the way fixed in the stage 2
Okay.
branch that I started, which I can merge the few little fixes that I've done there into master, and then it should solve the, well, like this stuff should work. Yeah, so that's working here. And
Okay.
Windows here. Let me see. So backed up. And it's working there now. So yeah, I believe I've got a fix. This is on my local version, so I think it has that fix. And I am on the stage 2 branch on localhost here. So that's working again. I've already done that fix. And let's see, back up. Yep, it should be working in all the places I've thought to check. So show hide button for the seed. Oh, that's the same thing essentially. After I've picked a file or dropped, I want the seed phrase field to go away. All right, we just discussed that. I'm going to skip that. Unless you think I should read all of this. Or did
No,
we just
that's what
discuss all of it?
I think we just discussed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a good description of the alias. Let's copy this over to the other modal. Is there something there? Did you mean to include a link there?
Here's a good description of the.
Oh, of
No,
the
here,
existing wallet.
meaning
Okay. Okay.
go up to the header. Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah. You
So in
described what the
this,
alias was there, but
yep,
not it when we're creating it.
yep. Um, decrypt wallet modal. I like the remember password. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm leery of it, but I've stated it, and it sounds like, you know, we'll side on the usability side of things for now.
Yeah.
I know it's potentially less secure, so I'll skip that. All right, this isn't a mobile review, but I seem to have noticed that I always have to unlock my wallet on mobile. I haven't used it that much on mobile, but I will check that out.
Okay. Yeah. Just see if you as you're going along,
It's
just see if you notice.
so no, that does make sense. If you close your browser on mobile, that clears your session data, and so when you reopen your browser, you will have to start a new session, therefore decrypt your wallet. So
Well, the
it's
question is, what does close your mobile wallet, close your browser mean on your on your mobile?
well,
Like if I
like you can have
never,
apps running in the background, or you could, you know, at least on Android, you can close an app. So yeah, it might have some services that run in the background, but it's not the full thing still open in the background. And I know there's a way to do it on iPhone too, where you might have, you know, like
I never X out of it. I never close the tab. I never close the browser tab.
mhm.
I just like there are several times where I've just backgrounded the app because I've gone into a different app, for example, and then when I go back into the app, it might take some time. Like it might be like a half hour or something
Mm-hmm.
that might be required for it to go to the locks to the decrypt wallet screen again. But
Which
I'll have
mobile
to
browser?
test it. So on iOS, I'm pretty sure that even if you're using Chrome, it's actually using Safari under the hood, and Chrome
Mm-hmm.
is just a user interface wrapper over the actual browser,
Mm-hmm.
which is required to be um, Safari because Apple is Apple, and they just do that.
Mm-hmm. So
So
I'm going
I
to
use Chrome
assume
for
it's a Safari thing. I think likely that they clear sessions even if it's still open in the background. So I'm thinking
okay.
they must clear the session data, and I think that's the way it's going to be on iOS.
Yeah.
If especially if
If it's
we're
an Apple thing, then
remembering.
there's nothing we can do about it. But
Sorry, what was that?
if it's an Apple thing, there's nothing we can do about it.
I mean, that's where I could store it in local storage, but I don't think I should. Like, if we're already going to default to remembering the password, I don't think we should default to storing that in local storage, because then it's just always decrypted as long as that wallet data is there. And I don't think that's wise, because it's literally like if they open your browser and you've decrypted it, someone could just, send all the funds from your wallet, which I would rather have the annoying, yeah, it's getting logged out, but does it do the same thing in PWA mode?
Yeah, we'll have to test that more when we get to the mobile testing, but
Mm-hmm.
it is annoying. So I wouldn't want to force all my Apple users to be always unlocking their wallet. If we get a full PWA, or even just if people are leaving their browser tab open and coming back to it every now and then, it's an annoying user experience. And the fact that, like, I'd almost rather just always have the caution of, hey, this um, be sure to lock your wallet explicitly if you have more funds than you're comfortable keeping in this state, that kind of thing, because the user experience is pretty terrible, having to decrypt your wallet all the time. In fact, you mentioned this. We might want to think at some point about just giving the option to have an unencrypted wallet, and maybe that's the solution. Is they need to explicitly opt into an unencrypted wallet, and then they get the benefit of never having to decrypt because it's not encrypted in the first place. So I don't know exactly what we should decide there, but what we have currently is kind of too bad to leave.
Well, so what I think should be a priority over storing it in a way that's just blatantly, like, it's already pushing the boundaries for me, as I've already discussed with you and Cool AJ86. Like, it's even storing this in session is on the level of insecure that, like, it raises my hackles. But
No, I get it, but you have to put the user in the driver's seat.
okay, so hang
That's
on.
one of the most
Let me
annoying
finish.
things.
Let me finish.
Okay.
So what I
All
was
right.
going to say is, if we're going to do that, I think it would be a better use of our time to figure out how to implement biometrics and pass keys, where it's a more automated process for the user, where if their wallet opens and it goes, thumbprint or face scan type of thing, and they want to use that, we've implemented it so they can do that. Because I think that is far less jarring than, hey, remember that password you entered? Like, re-enter it type of thing. I think that is far
It's
less jarring.
better, yeah. But I'm one of those users that I don't use the thumbprint. I don't use the Face ID. Those things creep me out.
I
And
agree.
I would rather have a password in that case. And if I have to have I also I want to be able to decide. Like I'm a big boy. I have my big boy pants on. I can decide I only have $3 in this wallet, or I only have $30 in this wallet. And just like I have $30 of cash in my wallet, I'm fine with that. I don't want to have to um, I want to be in charge as the user. So
Mhm.
however we decide to do that, it needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't recall discussing having a unencrypted wallet, and at this point, we would have to undo stuff. At one point, we had no encryption, and so it would have been easy to continue down that path. But now the encryption is kind of intermingled, and I wasn't trying to keep it separate or in a way that it could be toggled off easier. So if we want to do that, or want that option, we should consider that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I agree. We need to consider that sooner than later.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that again.
All right, let's continue on then. I mean, you're probably near your time you need to be done, right?
I've got some more time. Let's keep going.
Okay. All right. So main screen, minor visual design notes. The landing page feels slightly empty, awkward side columns. So that
Yeah,
is
that was
for.
really I don't know exactly where it was that he was saying that, but that problem. I just wanted to put it in here just so that it was heard. But that's gonna, I think, solve itself when
I'm assuming he means this. Like if you have it open this big, I mean, this is also zoomed in. So if you weren't zoomed in like I am for streaming and you've got it, more or less full screen, that's pretty dang empty.
It's empty, and that problem's going to solve itself to some degree when we have integrations.
Yeah.
That are either in the border or somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But that can also be solved with CSS. Like this is bad CSS right now if you have a screen this big, or not necessarily bad CSS, but
this is matching the design and not me just like wild westing it and just cowboying it up and just changing everything because it bugged me. Like obviously I've got some big screens, I could go bigger than like this is well off my streaming size screen. Like I can go bigger, and so there are scenarios where you might want to fill that space, but I also think like for what our goal is for MVP, we don't need to fill that space. We can take that into account for the future versions.
I agree. Moving on.
Yeah, same as welcome screen item 1. Okay, so you both have the same thought essentially.
No, I wrote
welcome screen. Welcome screen.
Yeah, I just want to be able to tab.
Can't tab through buttons. Okay.
Multiple places. Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. And I'm actually surprised because I know there was a point when I started building this and I tested that and it was working. But I've done a lot of changes. But it's interesting to me to try and think back and go, well, what did I change that would have stopped the tabbing? Like they're still in forms, there's still buttons. I'm not like explicitly telling them, hey, don't tab to this.
Well, like I said, I think the tabbing is working. It's the highlighting that's not working.
Which, yeah, that's definitely possible.
Go back to the main screen and just try it. Tab around, and you can tab a few times and then hit enter, and it will do one of the actions. It's just you don't know which action it's going to do because you didn't have the feedback.
Okay, let me try something real quick. I won't spend too much time on this, but I want to see. Don't do this if you're looking for code tips, but let's see, outline. I'm gonna say 0.25 rem, solid, hot pink, and we're gonna say focus. No, active. All right. How's that? Now you know it's focused.
I'm waiting for the screen to catch up with your vocal. Yeah.
Okay, but it's not tabbing to any of the contacts. It's tabbing to the links. So it tabs to that link. And then I'm guessing it's in here. Yeah, it tabs to those links. And then I must be still overriding it to the degree that it's not showing there, but it did show the hover, let's see. There, so see how it says send underneath and then request. So it is tabbed to them, but it's not even showing that outline. Then it's showing the add a contact, and then it goes down to the link and you can see it again. So yes, it is tabbing. It is not showing it. And we've got, I think that's an issue where you should be able to tab to each contact and probably hit space or enter or something like that on them and have it pop up their contact card. And then it should also tab between these things. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, we need to improve that. I'm going to comment that out because it's going to drive me insane if I leave it. Oh, dang it. Why didn't I click remember? All right, so agreed about that. Accessible keyboard navigation, I can see it going. Okay. I want some hover options right on each contact in the list. This would bring some life and color to the otherwise sparse list. So that is in the design, and I did not include it. So they do have at least those buttons. And I thought, yeah, we do have a hover, but I did not include the buttons. And the reason I didn't include the buttons, that was a conscious thing, is literally you click a contact, you get the buttons. You've also got the buttons there. And so it just seemed like a lot of buttons that do exactly the same thing over and over again. Whereas I would, because there's no way to do this right now, we don't have a way to show it yet, but if we ever get transactions in there, I'd rather have like a little list icon where if you click that, it will show the contacts transactions or something like that. But having more send and request buttons doesn't seem like the right thing to me. But
Yeah,
you can override me if you want. I'll add them if you really want them there.
I just got it documented, so you understand the issue, and,
Yeah.
and we'll prioritize it with discussing it together.
Yeah, I do agree. Trash icon and star.
The trash icon is what I really want, because right now I think because there's a bug in the contact creation process, I just have a bunch of danglers that I personally, as the user, know this is trash, and I want it out of my life.
It's not a bug. I could see how it feels like a bug, but it's not a bug.
Well, we'll get to that point. I think there is a bug, but I don't think it's what you're thinking I'm thinking it is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but yes, I do agree. Once like this contact, if you're not going to use it, you should be able to delete it. And essentially deleting would delete this start, but you would stay at the account index past it, essentially.
sure.
So you wouldn't
That
be
would be
reusing the contact. But I also think we should have a maybe tab or something here, or some ability to sort where it defaults to paired contacts, but you could like toggle on unpaired or switch to unpaired contacts or unfinished pairing type things. Because and the reason for this is we check these for funds. So even though you may not have finished pairing with them, if you somehow received funds at that address, like there is a scenario where you shared this URI and they either didn't send you theirs or you forgot to add theirs. So at least on their side, this is a real contact. And if they start sending to it, we would not be checking that contact for funds. And so while we can allow you to remove this contact from the list, it's probably still a good idea to check at least some of the addresses for each of those for funds.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I think we might even need both options.
Mm-hmm.
one option where it's just deleting it from the user interface, but it's not reusing the index for that scenario. But there are a lot of cases, like, when I'm testing it, and I know that testing isn't going to be the major use case. It's going to be actually real people really using it. But there are a lot of cases where I absolutely know I have not shown this to anyone, and I want it gone, and I might even want it reused, the index. So it's another thing that we'll have to triage, and decide how much development time we want to put into that feature. But let's keep going down the list, because I think there is a bug in the contact creation process that we need to address. And
Well, there's
fixing
definitely
that
a bug. I've included at least one or two in my list that I found. So there are some bugs. I just don't think the existence of that is a bug, at least in terms of I was explicitly told that we needed to account for that by Cool AJ86, and that's why that functionality is in there, type of thing.
Yeah, I know what function AJ was talking about, and I am okay with saying his name because he always says his own name. But
I just say it so if someone wants to look it up and they're like, wait, who's he talking about? They can look up
yeah,
Cool
yeah.
AJ86 and go, oh, look, there's a guy in the Dash Incubator named Cool AJ86. That's why I say his handle.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sometimes I say AJ. Okay, so maybe we should use the big empty space in the contacts list to recommend pairing with other prominent wallets. I agree with that. I like that idea.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a big thing, but easy. Next one. So I just had a couple notes about that. I was trying to pair with my mobile phone, and I found that the mobile phone app does give you an option for displaying the XPub, but it just displays the text. It doesn't give me a QR code. So even though we have the camera feature on our web app that could scan it, that's just not an option for us. So that's something that I need to make as a request to DCG to be able to pop up a QR code for my mobile app. Can you check that real quick to see if the Android app allows you to scan your XPub?
So I literally, in my bugs here, pairing via QR code looks like it works, yet clicking save ends with an unpaired contact. And I checked this multiple times. It was even grabbing the XPub from the scan, and yet when I click save, for some reason on mobile, it works on desktop. So I'm very confused why mobile would literally even get that XPub, put it in the field, and yet saving was not saving it. So there is something wrong there.
Well, I ran into that same issue further down the list. There is an issue with the contacts pairing where it's not finishing the contact pairing because it's not pulling in the data. Actually, there are cases where it is even pulling in the data, I thought, but when you save it, it just doesn't save it.
Yeah.
So I ran into the same issue.
Yep.
Let's keep going.
So you're saying this other thing is different from that? Or that's the same issue that you're discussing?
They might be the same.
Okay. Yeah, because I literally had a pairing that I did between my desktop and mobile, and I scanned the QR from my mobile phone, so showed it on the desktop, scanned it on my mobile phone. It filled alias, name, and the XPub. I click save, and I had an unpaired contact. I'm like,
okay, that's actually not the same scenario then, because I did the opposite, where I was on my desktop. I'm testing the desktop web app, and I'm using my laptop's scan feature, and I'm pointing my laptop's webcam at my mobile phone and trying to scan a QR on my mobile phone with the desktop scanner, and it brings up green corners on the desktop view of the scanner, as if it's recognized a QR code, but it just won't do anything with it. I have to manually escape out of it because it won't scan anything.
Okay. Well,
It won't
that
it won't
that
scan an XPub, it won't scan a normal dash address, it won't scan anything.
okay, that is different then. So I will need to look into that, which I had tested that. I guess not since I've been doing this QA stuff. So it's probably been at least a month since I've tested that. But yeah, so I'll look into that. So that's alias button at the top right isn't obviously clickable. So that is the user alias up here. I agree. We should have some sort of hover. We also mean to implement like profile icon, something like this. And I could do this exact same thing that I have for the contacts for your alias. And so we could have that at least for now. Ideally, I know AJ had wanted us to do a, what's the big Gravatar? So auto import Gravatar, but we also have no email field yet. So we need to add the email field to the contacts. And then the other reason I didn't do Gravatar is Gravatar, at least as far as I could see, requires MD5, and MD5 is not built into web crypto. So we need to include a separate MD5 library just to do Gravatar. And that's why I didn't do it.
That's the one that makes a unique pattern with your username or something. Is that right?
No. Gravatar lets you say, save your email address. Like you basically sign up for a WordPress account, and Gravatar is owned by WordPress, but you can set your avatar icon for that email address, and then any other service could say, hey Gravatar, do you have a avatar icon for this email?
Yeah. So that's something that only users that have like signed up with Gravatar
correct
would benefit from.
But it's probably the biggest and best known service in that wheelhouse. I actually would prefer us generating stuff first over Gravatar because it's more privacy friendly. So just using whatever data we have and just doing a like random SVG generation based on like maybe, you know, their name, their alias, and then like randomly based off of their first address, like grab the most unique part of it. Yeah, whatever. All right. Anyways.
I think that for now we just copy what you've already done by using the letters.
Yep.
So let's just do that for now and give them an option to take a picture if they want to.
Yeah. Well, so the picture thing, the reason we're not doing that is
upload a picture.
Yep. We don't have anywhere to upload to. We could possibly save something very small in their browser, but all of that will be stored in their browser. And so
yeah, that's what I would want. It doesn't have to be like some high res thing, but just something like, even if it's, you know, whatever, 68-bit or something, like just something is better than nothing, and you don't need a ton of data.
I agree, but that will add up really fast. So if you're doing that for, like, I'm okay doing that for the person specifically, but every single contact, that it seems like a small amount, but because you have to base 64 encode that to even store it in the browser, it will add up because base 64 is like 1.6 times whatever size it was. So it adds up really quickly, and we could be wasting data storage just on little avatar icons.
Okay. And that would just be a question of how much, I think. So
and so I think we should look into it, but just not, that should not be the priority in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah. So edit profile model. I don't think we should have the use this QR code to fund your wallet section here. Might be better in request, which maybe needs to be renamed receive. So that you are saying here in edit profile, this this shows the very first account index and the first address index, and it always shows that. In request, if you don't enter any information, it will use that 0 account index, but it will keep increasing the address index. So it will always give you a unique QR code. Whoops, don't click that. It will always give you a unique address and unique QR code, but it can still be used for funding. You could still send funds there. It just won't be static, I guess.
Yeah, I noticed that. I kind of stumbled on that you can do the receive and get those incrementing addresses. I just don't think that when you click on your alias, that's not where we should have a place to receive funds. I think we kind of did that ad hoc. We just needed it
Yes, we
real
did.
quick, and so we didn't really think too much about it. Now we're thinking more about it, and I think that is definitely not the intuitive place that you would say, I need to receive funds for this wallet. Let me go edit my profile. Nobody's going to think that. So it just clutters up the edit profile page for no good benefit.
I'm
Um,
I, I'm completely fine with that. And to that point, I think it would be better to maybe even separate it out and add something to the list to like actually it might be good to just see like let you select all of what's in basically this. So we've got addresses, and if you could pop open a dialog that just kind of let you pick through the addresses and it just made it clear which account it was under, I think that might be a better use, and separate it so that you could select the very first one if you wanted it, but then it wouldn't be cluttering up the edit profile thing. Something like that. It doesn't have to be that specifically.
Yeah, so let's remove that from the edit profile page. Let's remove
Mm-hmm.
that stuff, and let's focus on getting the UX right on the receive
Mm-hmm.
button.
I agree.
So
Receive.
right now it's a request button, but I'm wondering if we need to rethink that, because that is the normal user experience for crypto people when they want to get money into their app. They go for that button. They go for the receive button,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why it's tricky calling it request, because they would they would not know. It's gonna confuse people. I know that request is a more valid term, maybe when you're trying to get it from another person, but I think it works just as well. Like, you think about it over time as you're developing, is there a reason to have it called request instead of receive? Because
I
for me, I think it's better to go with what people are already used to, and that's receive.
okay.
And that
So
receive means that you can receive it from yourself sending it to you. Like, you
mm-hmm.
wouldn't ever say to yourself, I'm going to request funds from my, but you
Mm-hmm.
would say, I need to receive some funds into this wallet. I don't know.
I don't know if I'd say that either, but I do think receive is a better word. I think the send and request come from us trying to match Venmo. And so I think when Nick was designing it, he probably grabbed their terminology. But because request doesn't actually have a way to transmit that request, it's not really a request, it's a receiving address you're generating. And then you have
Exactly.
to then send it to someone.
Exactly.
And so that someone could be yourself. You could be snapping a picture just for yourself from another wallet, or it could be I'm sending you my receiving, address to send me funds. So yes, I agree. I'm fine with receive.
I'm almost thinking that request is a subset of receive. Like, the button on the main screen should probably say receive,
Mm-hmm.
because 5 times out of 10, or maybe more or less, you're actually receiving it to yourself, and so
Mm-hmm.
receive makes more sense in those cases. But
Mm-hmm.
after you've already hit receive, maybe then there's an option to request from an external contact.
Yes. So I know this is something we discussed with Cool AJ86 when we were originally planning this. And I think, to your point, it would probably be better to call this receive, and inside of the actual receive dialogue, have a how would you like to request these funds? And then, because we talked about having an easy, like SMS, email, and it was actually in here at one point. There you
Yeah, I
go. So
know.
contact payment share features, SMS or email. So we do have that in stage 3, but we were thinking of including links to those. So that would make sense inside of the receive dialogue. We then show how you can request those funds or make it
Right,
easy,
right.
especially if it's to a
Within
specific contact.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's the default for now. It's something to just continue noodling on while you've got
Mm-hmm.
the request funds box open. I did want to point out something else. Like, uh, I guess we're behind on the stream again.
Mm-hmm.
Open up the request if you already
I'm
have
there. I'm there.
it, and that should default to your own index. Like that should
It
default
does.
to having a QR code that is just the funding QR code that we decided to nix from the edit profile part.
Mm-hmm.
It should have that QR code, and it should default the alias to your own alias. So that gives you feedback that, like, okay, by default, I'm receiving or requesting or whatever term we end up using funds to my own wallet on the incoming side. But obviously, the user can then select to undefault it from their own to somebody else. And I see on my screen right now, you've got a big list of things. And half of those I've noticed are the browser bringing in things that you've entered in um, that may not be contacts in your actual contact list, and there's a little
No, no,
line
no.
that's
Those are all contacts.
okay. But
So,
on my side, I have noticed that the
you
browser,
mean you're doing it? Okay.
yeah, the browser
Not
remembers things that I've typed in there that are not contacts,
okay.
and somehow I wonder if there's an option to disable that for our own site or
There is. I
something.
thought I had it disabled.
Okay. Yeah, because I
So
don't want it to
spell.
remember those things. It also doxes people to some degree.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
this is part of why I end up using uh, private browsing, but there is maybe it's autocomplete, and I thought I had that on here, but you know what? I'm not seeing it on any of these.
Yeah.
So there, I think, is an autocomplete type of thing. Autocomplete. Yeah, so we can add autocomplete equals false. Is that not right? I thought that was a thing. Is not on or off. That's annoying. Okay.
And maybe that terminology is funky because it's not really autocomplete. It's like remembering things that I've typed into a certain field that has a certain label. And the worst is when it's like an address field and then it brings up addresses,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're streaming it. Like Amanda ran into this the other day where we were on our Incubator weekly and she was typing in some field to enter like some dummy data mocking a request for Shopify or something like that, and it like showed her personal address or something.
Yep.
That's what I want to avoid, not just for streaming people but
No,
it's just
I agree.
confusing because you don't want you don't want options popping up that aren't actual contacts.
I agree.
Okay.
I am adding this right now to a lot of them, at least everywhere I have spell check off.
Yeah.
But that should solve that. Uh-oh. Nope. Can't do it. Wait. Okay. It is fine. Never mind. I thought it actually disabled then the actual thing we do want, which is using the usernames, but all right. Yeah. So that should
Okay,
do
cool.
that.
Let's look at the list again.
So this isn't going to do it for mine. And since I haven't pushed this code yet, it won't fix yours. But I'm already in a private browsing tab and I've got my browser configured so that it does not do that stuff. It shouldn't not ever remember any of my fields. But I went to a lot of effort to do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
like,
most users won't have done
yes,
that.
legit. I had stuff where in the private browsing tab, it was showing the search history. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like, and so I've got freaking search history off. It's actually really inconvenient. You never realize how much you depend on that stuff now until you turn it
Yeah.
off. And so now
Yep.
I tend to use bookmarks a lot more. But yeah, like,
You know the issue.
yeah, I know it's very annoying. And yeah, like, there's a reason I'm always using private tabs as much as possible and pretty much only drag like GitHub on screen when I'm trying to show that I'm doing a like pull request or completing a pull request or something. All right, so backup wallet, top button is adjective noun, bottom two buttons are verb noun. Maybe make it consistent.
Yeah, we don't need to go into that one. I think you know what I mean by that.
No, I don't.
Okay, well, let's go on to it, I guess.
Okay. So encrypted full backup versus, huh?
Yeah, just bring up the backup.
Yeah, it is. I guess you'll catch up eventually.
Okay.
Stupid delay.
Yeah, so like encrypted full backup, that's adjective noun. Here's an encrypted backup. Like you could say, and the other two are verb noun. So backup key store is verb noun. Show seed phrase is verb noun, but the top one is not verb. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm. I
I don't
get
know.
it. And
I don't know what the solution is, but
there's logic in my head for why it's worded that way. And like I could also do key store backup. So then it would be encrypted full backup and key store backup, and then show seed phrase or backup key seed phrase or whatever. But I I wanted some differentiation. I'm not saying I made the correct choice in the differentiation,
yeah,
but this
not a
is
big deal right
doing a
now.
different style of backup than these two. These are both essentially backing up the recovery phrase in one way or another, because that's essentially what the key store is.
Yeah.
So they are kind of the same thing, even though
So
they're also
I
different.
think what I would have chosen is I would have said back up all data or backup. One option would be backup key store, and then the other option would be backup key store plus metadata, or
Mm-hmm.
backup key store and all metadata,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that.
Yeah.
I understand it's not something I have time for right now, but
Yeah,
it's just
that's fine. Let's keep going then. Lock modal, the bottom button doesn't line up, maybe because of emoji in one, but not the other.
yeah. And I didn't know if you were seeing this or not on your side, because I couldn't really tell when you were opening these or not. Like if you go to the lock modal,
I'm in there now. Yeah.
on my screen, the bottom edges are not lined up at all. So if you zoom in quite a bit, maybe you see it, or maybe you won't, and maybe it's something that's like browser specific, like it does it on Chrome, but it doesn't do it on your browser for whatever reason.
This is 200% on Brave. Oh, wait, hang on. Maybe right at the bottom there.
Yeah, it's
The,
definitely not a big deal on your But on mine, there's like a noticeable break.
That's interesting. There actually should be a slight break between the buttons, like horizontally.
No, but I mean like the bottom one
Yeah,
one part one
it does
of
look
the
like it's
lines is
one
way low.
pixel. Yeah, this to me looks like it's 1 pixel lower.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
it's probably because I have an older laptop and I very like fewer number of pixels and
mhm.
not a good way for the screen to compensate for those pixels. Like, so it's just very noticeable on mine. But anyway, I think the solution might be because are you doing the box sizing border box or is that
The solution is line
one of
height.
your,
Setting line height to 1 solves it, at least for me. And you can see the jankiness when I toggle between it, it shifts by a pixel. So
okay,
it's
so
likely that.
maybe that'll solve it on my end too. I'll have to check.
Yep. I'll make that tweak. Let me make a note of that specifically.
It might be solved it might be solved through the box sizing as well. But I'm just curious if you are doing the box sizing because that is one of those things that almost everybody does nowadays in the CSS, like in one of the highest levels is to set box sizing to border box because there are other problems that will come around if it's not. So do you have that in one of your rules to do the box sizing as a border box?
Yes, it should be in there. I don't know if maybe this has some weird override or got missed somehow, but likely there is border box set. Let's see.
Okay. Cool.
So it might actually be a dialogue thing for that matter, because dialogue uses almost this weird mix of shadow DOM. So, but there is box sizing right here. So box sizing, border box. So dialogue does have box sizing border box on it, which means anything within it should also have that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I have a global, like, apply this to everything. So
Yeah. All right.
let
Next.
me, all right, lock modal, disconnect modal. Still not sure disconnect is the right word. Leave for now. Either way, maybe the bomb to change the bomb to something else. Yeah, I was just doing that to make it clear, but that it was a destructive action.
Right. We'll defer that one until we have the terms.
Well, and this is where I did these emoji icon just because I don't have anything like the send icons or the new contact. Those weren't designed. So if we wanted Nick to add some icons to a design for that, I'm fine. Or I can find some that might fit better, but I didn't want to waste too much time on it.
Yeah. No, you made the right choice.
Yeah. Dash balance, add a refresh button. It shouldn't really be needed. Okay, so I agree with that. Temporarily, you can click it, and that technically refreshes, as you may have seen in the browser here. It does refresh. And it would be better to have a little icon that is a refresh icon, so it's clear that's what it does. So I'm not. I definitely agree with that.
Okay, next.
Send funds modal. No way to send 100%. Do our SDKs facilitate this? I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, you probably have to talk to AJ about that because it's a big rabbit hole to get 100% send successfully.
Well,
And
I mean, and 100% of what? Like of all funds in every single contact? Well, so this is something I haven't done.
In your balance. Balance.
But this is actually something AJ had told me to do. Is he thinks as soon as a contact receives funds, we should automatically be transferring that to our 0 account index, so our wallet that no one has access to. So if I receive funds, those funds should then get redirected to our main account. And then if they were in your main account, I'm not doing that yet, or I don't know if you want that. But right now, if you receive funds to any single contact, it is stored there. And if we were doing the xpriv thing that AJ wanted to do, that
We're not.
contact could theoretically take those funds back. But yeah, we're using the xpub. And I use that because of that reason. I didn't understand all of his reasoning for that.
Yeah, I'm saying the balance that we have
Mhm.
that you're showing right there, 0.00159 da, da, da. There are
Mhm.
many cases where you just want to send the whole thing out to another address or another wallet that you own, for example. And you want
Okay.
to clear that out of all the dust.
So that includes every single contact then, because that's where this balance comes from.
Yes, it would.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm not against that. I don't know how easy that would be to do. I think we could do it though. I just need to look into it.
I think that he built the SDK to be able to do that, but that's a conversation we have to have with him. So let's just keep going.
Yeah, we have one of the things I've done in recent streams, I think here in January, we're not in January anymore, but in January, there was the estimation, and originally we were grabbing everything. So I think we were sending everything. And then I implemented his optimal send thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall that, but
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The optimal send thing is to get it all out and have no dust left over, but also being able to pay the fee. So that's what I'm talking about. It's a rabbit hole. I've got to go.
Yeah, okay.
Can you if you've got more time, continue down the list and I'll watch and see if you have any questions.
Mhm.
Because like some of the later stuff was actually more important.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe like if you do have time and you're going to continue going, just go through all the items and I will watch the stream. So
Mhm.
if something didn't make sense, then I'll make a note to talk about it with you later. So
Mhm. Sounds good.
okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later then.
All right. Well, sorry to cut it off like
It's
super
okay.
quick. Do you have any last questions or anything before I take off?
No, I'll just ping you
I
if
just
I.
noticed. Yeah, I just noticed we had a lot more lists left than I had time. So,
You're okay.
all right,
I guess
cool.
not a lot, but a page worth of stuff. So yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll ping you if I have any questions, or if you hear, feel free to jump in chat or whatever.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
See ya.
Later. All right. Might start some music here now that I'm not using that channel for his audio. Do that. That might be louder than I want it to be. All right, y'all let me know if the background music is too quiet now, but hopefully it's okay. All right, and I have a couple chats. Hey, Super Does Things. How you doing? And and the Neverworld. How you doing? I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for asking, the Neverworld. All right, so send funds modal. No way to send 100% to our SDKs. We covered that, or at least we discussed it. Why does scanning only do scan a contact? Scanning a normal dash address captures it, but doesn't parse and enter into the field. I swear I just looked at this. Did I maybe include? Let me see here. I may have just fixed this. No, that's definitely not it. I'll keep going down the list though. So scanning a normal dash address captures it, but doesn't parse it and enter it into the field. I thought I had just looked into this and maybe even tested it in recent streams. So if it's still not working, I'll need to look into that more. I don't normally have a camera attached to my computer, and so I would have to literally track down my webcam and attach it just so I could test QR scanning. So I'll have to track that down, but that will have to happen on another stream. And that was, let's see, so send funds. So in send funds, we click that. See, this is not found, request device not found. AKA, I don't have a camera attached. I don't like the up-down buttons on the input field. I know, I don't like them either. They look like garbage. So these, obviously, you can't even see the arrow for some reason, and I don't know why. I legit don't know why it looks like that, but I agree. We could theoretically hide those and do custom ones. I'm not opposed to doing that. It's just more time, and that's why I haven't done it yet. Legitimately, for stage 1 or our aka our MVP, so our minimum viable product, I've made a bunch of decisions that they would certainly improve the UI and UX of the product, and I think they should be included, but they weren't necessary just to prove the concept. And so the minimum viable product was to prove the concept that we could do this. We could use our own libraries. We could generate and send funds all using the utilities built by the Dash Incubator. But yeah, I'm not against improving that. That's just why it hasn't been done. Yeah, the step should be easier to adjust, I think. Yeah, this step, so I think we could do that, and that would fix it. So even if I refresh now, there you go. All right, that fixes that. But there may be a way to hide that as well. Long term, I think the Neverworld had mentioned this. We should have like a 25%, 50, 75, 100%. So there's an easy way to just get all your funds and send that amount essentially. And then I think it would also be good to do a USD or not fiat based version. All right. Request funds modal. Still not sure where the best place is for QR to fund my own. Ryan and I just, I think, kind of discussed this. Usually it's right there available when a user hits receive in the wallet. I think that's probably the most intuitive place due to the people being used to it in other wallets. Currently, we have that feature under my alias edit. I don't think that's the right place. All right. Every time I click request, the wallet generates a new address. This might be unsettling for users. Need to rethink this functionality. Is this cycling through the 0 index on the HD path when no contact is selected? Either way, we may want to put our own username in the alias input box by default, which would be the default funding mechanism. So Ryan and I just discussed this. I disagree with putting our username in there. So what he's implying there is when we click request, which would be changed to receive, we would fill this with like @JoJo. However, that's not how this is working. So if I select a contact, this is implying from my contacts list, and if I did this, it is generating this address based on the contact that's selected. And so yes, that JoJo does link up to an account and it would give us an address just like it is doing. However, if we've pre-filled this to be able to select a contact, they would literally have to delete the field, so they would need to know to delete the field first, which I think is way counterintuitive. So we would then need to create a way to easily clear this field, essentially, which we don't have one right now. So we could do it. I just don't think that's best. I suppose we could change this placeholder, and instead of saying enter an alias or dash address, we could, like some of the other fields, have this part be underneath the field and then have it just kind of grayed out, say your alias, so mine's JoJo. So it would grayed out, show JoJo. But if we actually fill the field, that's what happens, is you don't get any of this type ahead of your contacts. So none of that pops up. So I'm not opposed to doing something. I'm just opposed to filling it with the contact unless we figure out a solution for clearing it more easily. All right, so add a new contact modal. Overall, this modal seems too busy. Full on agree. And is not intuitive enough. Full on agree. There are two main and very distinct expectations of what to do to add a contact. 1. Initiate a contact request. 2. Follow up on a contact request. When I click this, it's not obvious what I'm supposed to, or at least I don't think I would if I were new using this wallet. It's not terrible and I can figure it out even as a noob, but it's not obvious. Full on agree. So we're talking about this, the add a new contact modal, and it's got information here on the left, and it's got this big old QR code on the right, and we do have this, share this QR with your new contact. So we do have that, but it's at the bottom. Even if it were at the top, I don't know if it would communicate what we need to here. But essentially, when you're pairing with a contact, you would take this and give this to the contact, and they would take their version of this and give it to you, and then you would be able to copy the thing they sent you and paste it in. Or if you're in person, you'd be able to scan, so you'd be able to click this and scan their QR code. That's how it's supposed to work. For one reason or another, this is not working right now, and I'm not sure why, at least on mobile. I know it worked at one point, but when I tested this just a few days ago, it did not work on mobile. Even though that's the very bizarre thing. It grabbed all of the data. It filled every field for me. And then I clicked add contact, and it didn't actually save the stuff correctly. And so I do need to look into that. I am aware of that. But yes, I agree. This box in general, it's not great. We do need some improvement here. So let's see the rest. Send, share your contact info, send link, copy paste, display QR, receive, accept, import someone's contact info, receive link, scan QR. What about putting data into a normal web link with parameters in the query string that people can just click and accept your friend request? I know inside of where was it? This. Well, AJ86 mentions that it should support this. So we should be supporting the protocol dash like that, but also a link like this. So if you were to go to, I mean, this link doesn't make as much sense, but if we went to one of the examples like this, we should be able to do something like this. Let me see. Hang on. So if you went here, you should be able to add a string there to the end, and that would pair the contact. And I know in the progressive web app, I had implemented at least the start of this. So we had this protocol handler, but this isn't actually hooked up to anything yet. So we do need something like that with the correct fields. I'll need to think that through. We should be able to support it. It may be just an oversight that I forgot to include this. I think we should be able to do that. I don't know if it will improve this to the degree that Ryan is hoping for, though. It might simplify the process a little bit, though. Okay, let me continue on. The QR reader doesn't accept scan my XPub address from my iPhone mobile wallet. Made a QR code out of the text, but it didn't read it. It does show a green capture square when you line it up right, but it doesn't do anything other than that. Alright. Adding contacts doesn't seem to be working at all. Saving has two issues. The address XPub isn't saving. The name is appending dash finish to every alias, even if adding all info in one fresh and complete step. Might only be adding. This might actually be part of my fix. So, didn't I open this already? That's not it. So one of the recent commits, E511. Ooh, this is weird. Why is it showing up like that? There we go. So this one. And wallet backup on first setup. So I know I tweaked that for show password. That's in wallet backup. I thought there was something else related to what that was saying. So the XPub stuff. Um, All right, I guess I haven't touched that recently. So I'll need to look into that. All right, and the last item is clicked contact modal. The modal could use a header like I think all the other modals have. He is correct. When you click contact, it doesn't have that. However, I believe that was the design. Yep. So there's the design, and that's what I matched it to with, you know, a change to include the alias in there. Um, right now, all of the other dialogues have a title off to the left there. And that's the only one that doesn't have it that way. So it means if we do add a title in, it will probably need to be centered, or if it is left, we've got this delete button. So it will still look different. I'm not opposed to it, it's just... I don't know if that's the best. I'll have to think that through. All right, but it looks like I at least got through his list. All right, my apologies. So my list starts here at the mobile specific bugs. So I had the copy buttons don't seem to work reliably. So these are mobile specific. So not necessarily on desktop, which I am showing desktop. And I may have already improved the copy buttons. I know that I improved the password ones. So this thing, it wasn't working, and I believe this should work everywhere now. I did do a change for that. That's what this is. I don't think I did anything with copy buttons though, so I will need to look into that. The copy buttons are used in the scenario of, let's see. When you're pairing a contact, you've got this copy URI one, and also when you're creating a new wallet, you can copy the recovery phrase, and also I suppose backing up that wallet. So the copy is used in several places, but for some reason that copy is not working on mobile, but it appears to work on desktop, at least in my testing. I'll need to look into that. Pairing via QR code looks like it works, yet clicking save ends with unpaired. So that is this. Clicking that, at least on mobile, and it sounds like there's an issue on desktop as well. At least on mobile, I had it filling out all of these fields, and then I'd click add contact, and it would still be unpaired, but it would have the contact name and the alias set, just not the address. And I don't know why that was happening. So I'll need to look into that. Unique alias collision with only one contact, the one contact you're trying to pair with. So the first contact I had in a wallet, I had added a new one. I had pasted the URI. I'd click save, and it said there was an alias collision. And I'm like, this is literally the first contact I'm pairing with. The alias collision could have only been with that contact. Therefore, it's not a collision. Suffice it to say that happened. So I need to look into that. Maybe I should tweak this real quick. So At least now these should be checklist. All right, encrypted full backup and backup key store fail to open save dialog in Brave on Android. Yeah, so when I would get in here and click that, it would not actually open this. It just did nothing. So I need to see if there's something else that needs to be added for mobile support. Edit profile, add contact, and insufficient funds have layout issues on mobile. Maybe I can show that. So go ahead and let me zoom out since we are in mobile. All right, so I don't know if I'll be able to replicate it, but it says edit profile, add contact, and insufficient funds. So edit profile, yes, this shows. So as you can see, that don't look great. Shouldn't have to scroll like that. What these should do is it should lay either the QR code above or below the form and just fit widthwise in the screen. Add contact was another one, which I think should mean that also does it. However, before I forget, one of the things Ryan just requested is we would remove this from edit profile, which means I shouldn't spend any time fixing this. I should just remove it and figure out where to put it instead. And then insufficient wallet funds. And this has been an issue the past couple streams is if I go send here and I select, I'll just select a random contact, but I say I want to send this much, which my wallet does not have that much. Oh, actually, and there's a bug there. That's funny. For some reason, it's letting me scroll even though there's no reason for this. So if I click send, the wallet doesn't have enough. So it's saying you need to send this much more to be able to make this transaction. But as you can see, it scrolls side to side for some reason. And this wallet just looks weird. And yeah, it's on. It needs improvements. All right, and then general enhancements. So confirm wallet lock button needs line height. 1, I believe I should have included that. Line height 1. Sent funds confirmation. Currently send closes and you see your balance change. We should show funds sent type dialog. So let's just do this. So we send, I'm going to do a very small amount. Let's see if we can do that. Valid value of the 2 nearest. Oh, that's irritating. And this is why I had the freaking step set so low. I don't want to send that much. That's so irritating. Let me see here. So that's why it steps at that amount is when I set it. Higher, I can't actually send less than the step amount, which is kind of dumb, but is what it is. All right, so there, and if I click send and send, notice that it closed and it just barely updated that, which it would have been hard to see, but it updated from 169 to 168. So let's see here, close that. I think we should have actually displayed a dialog that said, you know, transaction sent, and then included a link to the Dash Insight page where you could inspect transactions, because we definitely have the data. So we've got this TX info, the TX hex, we have the transaction ID. So if we were to, let's do insight.dash.org. If we take this transaction ID and paste it in here, we're able to look up this transaction. So we can see I sent 0.001, and then it did some change, but we're able to see the transaction. So we should include a link to this page essentially in a dialog pop-up and say, hey, we sent it. You can check out the, you know, transaction here. I need to wrap up, so let me try and get through the last two here. So batch generate tweaks. Need to check each address funds and generate 20 past the last address with funds. I did some changes to this in the last stream, which generate a bunch of addresses in the storage, but I don't think I was checking or waiting for the funds. Not that I think we should. I think we should have, when the funds get checked, if the last one ends up having funds and it's less than 20 from the end of the ones we're checking for. So let's see if I know these have funds. One of them should. Maybe the next page. I guess I have a lot of addresses now. Sheesh, I have a lot of addresses now. Go to the end, I guess. Well, that's confusing. One of these, at least one, likely more than one, should have some additional wallet info, and I'm not finding it, and I don't know why. There we go. So insight. So they should have insight, and we should basically check 20 past the last insight. So we need to add that. I need to pre-generate accounts with some addresses when importing a phrase to start adding contacts after the last account with funds. And that is on wallet creation, I think. And then this is already fixed. So yeah. And I need to wrap up here, so I've got some other stuff going on. I'm gonna come here, and thanks to everyone who tuned in and watched, and please consider liking, subscribing, following, sharing, commenting, bippity boppity booping, I don't know, whatever. Thanks, and I'll catch you all next stream, which I might do another stream in a few hours, we'll see. But thank you all, and see ya next time.